How's it going? Okay, yeah. Today I'm doing another review, some random thing, blah blah blah, you get the gist. If you haven't watched any the other ones I've done by now, then I don't know, that's mean. Come on. Okay, this one, I don't know what the Japanese, I don't know what the the English title technically would be. Um, I've seen things like the more he carries, the stronger he becomes, an unmatched fantasy by the weakest adventurer duo. Like I've seen like that as like descriptors. I don't know. Maybe they also use that as a title. I don't know. Um, for the sake of this, we'll just here. I'll I'll just boom. That's the that's what's written. Um, type this in if you want to figure it out. If you want to find it. Or just type in, you know, fantasy story about a porter, but, you know, whatever. You'll get the gist. So, first off, initial rating, like a 6. It's alright. It's fine. I think some of the ideas are kind of neat, but it's like one or two ideas in a sea of generic. So I'm not necessarily going to put this any higher than, you know, like a 6. It's alright. Alright, getting into the meat and potatoes. Art-wise, I think the art's pretty good. I like the art for the most part. Character designs are fine. Some of them I like, some of them are just alright, but for the most part they're fine. What's the general idea of the series? Well, this guy is a porter in a hero, well, not a hero's party technically, but an S-rank adventuring group. And what comes of that? Oh, well, I don't know, maybe like the most obvious trope that there is. He gets betrayed! Oh no, wow, what a shocker. And it turns out he's really powerful. Wow. So why is he so powerful? Well, this girl has the skill to make these little talismans. Normally, someone can only equip one of these, but because of his porter's skills, he's allowed to equip as many as he can carry. And of course, he can carry quite a few. Therefore, he's pretty OP when she makes him a whole bunch of them. Oh, how does the story start out? Well, I'll just give you the general idea, first couple of chapters, just so you can have like a, do I want to read this or not? So, goes into a party, gets betrayed, blah blah blah. She goes in there looking for a certain item. Just so happens that his group finds that item, but then they take it and betray him, leave. She's almost suicidal because it was like her, you know, last hope. But he saves her, and then they find out like, oh man, the talismans actually work on him. So if she makes him talismans, he might be able to, you know, use them effectively. And then, you know, she wants to make sure, she wants to make it like so everyone in the world knows that her skill at making talismans and his skill as a porter are not useless. Basic idea, kind of fun. You know, generic party betrays one member, blah blah blah, right? So as far as like other characters we go, we have so he's the porter, she makes talismans. I would say there's another two prominent characters. This girl who is let's just say a very large, muscular woman who just wants to beat the shit out of people, and she basically, I don't know, he asks her to, you know, train him, and because he shows off that he's so powerful, he, well, she wants to marry him, blah blah blah, you know, super generic idea, right? Like, you know, oh my god, you're so strong, now I want to, you know, marry you, right? But, I mean, her idea of marriage is also fighting constantly to the death, I believe, so at least it's a little different with that. And then this is kind of like her little maid sidekick, who, you know, follows her around and does her work. She just so happens to be some kind of noble. Yeah, alright. So, yeah, those are the major players, right? We have giant woman, Amazonian fighter, maid girl, who's also like a knight, talisman woman, and porter guy. Also, I believe his name is it's meant to be like Ryuk or something, but I think it's supposed to be a play on rucksack, like a bag. And I saw one translation where his last name was Storage, which, if that's true, that is the worst name. Like, that is so... I don't even want to think about that. Alright. So, yeah, so, like I said before, basic idea. He goes in the cave. They find the legendary item. It happens to be a backpack. He's just talked about how, like, oh, I'm only a part of this party because I have this skill to, you know, port and carry things. And it's like, oh, they just so happen to find a backpack that has, like, all the storage space ever. And they don't need him anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Ditch him in a cave, right? Steal all of his crap. Moving on. Yeah, they leave. They're like, oh my god, he died! We couldn't do anything! Couldn't save him! And of course, this guy, you could pretty much tell by his look, he's the asshole hero wannabe. Yeah, I don't want to get into any spoilers, but it's the generic idea of like, oh, the one guy leaves and now we suck at everything. And it's all, you know, it can't be us. We're great. There's no way we're the problem. We didn't suck. Yeah, basic idea, right? They can't take any blame. It has to be all, you know, someone else's fault, not their own. He equips all the talismans. You know, they're all kind of shitty E-rank crap garbage talismans, but because he can equip so many, he gets, you know, extremely overpowered. Shows, you know, we see him break a guy's wrists, which is really disgusting looking. Yeah, I mean, as far as just a general gist of what the series is, yeah, that's about it. I mean, he makes they use the talismans. He gets more powerful. He's just basically training to be as powerful as he can to show off that these skills are not useless. Overall, I mean, the art's fine. I like the art. I wouldn't say it's like the most incredible art ever. Like, it doesn't stand out to me like that, but I think it's pretty good. I kind of like the idea of the whole porter, you know, talisman thing. Like, that's pretty unique. Not unique, but it's at least a little different. I've seen the whole, like, you know, luggage carrier thing played out, and, you know, for different like reasons of power, blah blah blah. But you know, I think it's like a slightly different use, and I kind of like it. As far as like characters go, I mean, I wouldn't say any of them are super standout. Like, oh, the Amazonian freaking knight, you know, generic love interest #1, super basic protagonist. I mean, you know, generic, like, thinks he's the hero, but he's actually the villain guy. The, you know, unfaithful party, you know, it's all pretty basic. And the idea of, like, certain skills being ostracized, I wouldn't say is necessarily unique. That's a pretty common thing. Like, oh, yeah, like, I have a, you know, shitty skill and, you know, everyone hates me now because of it. Yeah, it's kind of basic. I think the only reason I'm going to give it, I give it a 6 over a 5 is just because it's like, I kind of like the porter talisman idea, and it's also like, it doesn't do anything poorly necessarily, it's just kind of eh. I don't think it necessarily stands above any of the peers around it or anything. I think it's kind of just, yeah, it's alright. Not bad. Yeah, I mean, I like the art. The story's, it's generic, like 5. But I think it does have a couple of ideas where I'm like, I kind of like that. I will say, I'm not going to get into anything spoilery about this, but how these characters are done is, it's not unique, but it is a little fun, especially how they deal with this guy. I kinda liked how that was done. Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, most of what I'd have to say. Yeah. As far as plot points and things like that, I mean, you know, it's the after the start, it's a pretty generic situation of just the main protagonist trying to get more powerful using his seemingly weak abilities. You know, I feel like the the bag here is kind of a like a MacGuffin, right? Or like I don't know. It's a little too on the nose for me as like a power boost as well. I mean, yeah, I'm not. I imagine at some. Listen, I haven't read every single chapter in every volume or anything. I think I read like 3 volumes or something for this. I feel like just by process of elimination, they get an S rank bag. At some point he's going to get that, and it's going to be a power boost. All right. Um, but at least I'll say this. At the very least, I like how the main character's power is not solely tied to his abilities. Like, her abilities getting more powerful makes him more powerful. So I do like that. I appreciate that. I think the one really big problem I have is, I'm not going to spoil anything, but he has a unique skill that does something I don't like. I think it's pointless. It didn't need to be done. And I don't really know why they need to add another layer to something like this. I think it would have been fine without it. I find that a lot of these stories tend to have unnecessary complication and additional information, and I don't think this is very different. I think his other skill is kind of like, eh. And they also don't really use his other skill in conjunction with other things yet, so maybe later they'll be able to make it a little more interesting, but the initial use of it I think was boring and not needed. Alright, I think that's about it. I don't want to drone on and on about this series. So yeah, final rating, 6. It's alright. If you want a time waster, I mean, yeah, sure. It's a fun time waster. Just, it's like junk food. It's nothing special, but it scratches that little itch, that you have for like a shitty fantasy story. Alright. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say here. I mean, I'd appreciate it if you could, maybe comment another series you want me to talk about, maybe like, maybe subscribe, I don't know, that'd be cool. And if you haven't watched any of my other, little short reviews that I've been doing, I'd appreciate, checking them out, I don't know. I'll see ya.